What's up guys, welcome back to more Reddit stories about entitled people. Hope you're all doing wonderful today and let's get right into it. Boss said to follow the rulebook to the letter? Okay, enjoy the chaos. I work in a medium-sized office with a very, let's say, meticulous manager. We have a company handbook that's easily 300 pages, and nobody has probably ever read it cover to cover. It has a lot of old and outdated rules, which we all ignore in favor of common sense. Last week, someone made a minor mistake that was against one of the obscure rules. Instead of addressing the specific issue, our boss decided to have a meeting. He proudly announced that from now on, we would follow the handbook rules to the absolute letter, no exceptions. Break time overload. Our handbook says we're entitled to a 10-minute break for every hour worked. Instead of the usual 1-hour lunch and 2 15-minute breaks, we all started taking 8 separate 10-minute breaks throughout the day. Productivity plummeted. Dress code chaos. Apparently there was a rule saying ties were mandatory, but it didn't specify for whom. The women in the office started wearing the most outrageous ties they could find. Neon, sequined, ties with cats on them, you name it. Printer madness. The rulebook states every document should be printed in triplicate. The printers were constantly jamming and running out of paper. The office looked like a paper factory explosion. Email explosion. There's a clause about CCing supervisors on every email. Our boss's inbox was flooded to the point of crashing. Over communication. A rule mentioned that any change, however minor, should be communicated to the entire team. Got a new pen? Sent an announcement. Moved your chair? Announcement. The constant pinging of email notifications became a hilarious office song. By the third day, our manager was at his wit's end. The entire office was barely functioning, and he knew he was the cause. On Friday, he called another meeting to announce that maybe we should use our best judgment and not rely solely on the handbook. The handbook is currently under revision. I undercooked my food to get back at a food thief. I started working at my new workplace 6 months ago. Most of those here have been here for years. I'm one of 2 people that have been here less than 2 years. There is an office food thief that will steal people's food and even throw away their Tupperware. She's been here 10+ years, and people have just adopted the mentality of it is what it is. We can't do anything about it. She only takes one person's food a day. They know exactly who the food thief is and just suffer through it. They even call her the food goblin. She took my food the last and first time I put it in the fridge, resulting in me just not having food till 9 p.m. I've kept my food at my desk since, and stopped eating food that needs to be refrigerated. Until I had an idea. I half-cooked some food, made it look appetizing, but didn't make it even slightly edible. I left a typed-up note on the food stating it wasn't fully cooked, but didn't leave my name on it. She ate the food, and had to spend 8 days in the hospital. The company can't figure out whose food it was, and now she's, quote, afraid to come to work, and thinks somebody wants to end her. It's been a couple of weeks since she returned, and she thinks everybody is out to get her and won't go near the kitchen. Even brought her own mini-fridge for her desk area a few days ago. Edit, it was my homemade chili, which has chicken and beef in it. I've had some people tell me that sounds gross, but everybody that has said that changed their mind after trying it. I basically made a full pot, got the idea before it was even close to properly cooked, scooped some into a Tupperware, then typed up / printed the note at home in a Tupperware that wasn't part of my typical Tupperware set. This woman, mid-40s, is a favorite of the C-suite. That is why she never gets reprimanded or punished for stealing food for over a decade. She hosts dinners and such at her home for the C-suite. CEO, CFO, etc. So she willingly ate food that had a note that clearly stated it was undercooked. And after getting food poisoning from probably undercooked chicken, apparently people are out to get her. I mean, in reality, someone was out to get her, but that's besides the point. She did it to herself. Employer told me I'm late for my first day, and doesn't understand he's got a wrong number. Okay, so this is a story that happened in the summer last year. At my current job, I took 2 weeks of vacation, and right in the middle of the morning, around 6 a.m. of my first day off, I get a call. I don't answer. Then another. At the 4th call in a row, I decide to answer. Hello? Where are you? It's your first day, we're waiting for you. As far as I know, I have no effing clue who that is. I didn't have any job or anything planned that day. I'm supposed to hang out with my friends. Damn, sorry dude, you got a wrong number. No clue what you're talking about. I hung up and go back to sleep. But no, that a-hole called me 2 more times in the next hour. He left a message saying young people are lazy, and he can't believe I lied to him after a great interview. He ends up calling again. I picked up the phone. I know this will be the last time I'll deal with him. Yes, I know I'm late. I'm on my way. I'll be there soon, promise. I hung up and then I blocked his number before going back to sleep. Like seriously, I can't believe the first time I told him that it was a wrong number wasn't enough. I later checked his phone number and matched it with the store on Google Maps, which was 2 hours from me. I left a bad review saying the person working here harassed me on the phone. Neighbors stalk, harass, and trespass. My significant other and I bought our home 2 years ago. When we moved in, there was another home behind us. Our home was built on undeveloped land that was then bought and sold, and now it's ours. Our neighbors have no rights to our land, and it's not much, but it's ours. After finding our property line, our neighbors have about 20 feet of yard from their back door to our fence/property line. Our yard is about half the size of a football field. After doing an extensive tree removal, we learned about our neighbors. And that our neighbors have 3 windows that overlook our yard. Prior to our tree removal, our neighbors would walk 2 miles throughout our neighborhood to literally stand in front of our home and watch us every day at various times. They would never speak to us, just watch. When we waved, they wouldn't wave back. We tried to be cordial, but they weren't interested. I have this behavior on camera. When one of the relatives realized I was recording, she panicked and tried to double back. It was too late. I have this specific relative on camera 3 or 4 times. Now to the tree removal. When we removed the trees, we discovered the family had been using the land where our home was built as a garden. My husband was kind enough to let them retrieve the plants they wanted. However, I was tired of them. In addition to literally standing in front of our home, they started to take turns watching us from their back door. We have the bizarre behavior on camera. One of the individuals came out and I waved. She gave me a dirty look and went inside. Fine. A few months later, we had our fence installed. The fence installers were creeped out. He said that when he would take breaks, he noticed that the family members would emerge from the house and sniff the wood planks. He said it was weird and that he didn't feel comfortable being watched, and that the grandmother watched him the entire time. He finished the job and left. Later that day, we exchanged words with our neighbors. I asked them to stop watching us and that if they came back on our property, they were taking strolls in our backyard, or stood in front of our home, I'd call the police. After pretending that they didn't speak English and wanting me to name relatives that I'd never even spoken to, I showed them the footage of them being on camera. Suddenly, they could speak English. Who knew? And promptly apologized for their behavior. They admitted to looking through our windows and seeing our inside pets. Our pets never go outside. I was pissed off and creeped out. They admitted to how watching us could seem problematic and how they wanted to be peaceful. How they suddenly knew the relative in the video, and that she told them that I waved and that she didn't wave back. Seriously, screw these people. During this confrontation, we learned that the family we thought only consisted of a grandmother, a daughter, an aunt, and 2 young boys was really 10 people in a 4-bedroom home. They also admitted that when the trees were still up, they were still looking into our home. I meant what I said about calling the police. I guess they thought I was bluffing. Yesterday I made that call. Perhaps they stopped because they didn't want the police coming to their home? The summer has come and they have come up with new schemes. They brought a netting and put it up to the back door. Now they stand behind the netting and watch us from the dark. Their back door opens up every time we step into our backyard. It's annoying and stressful that we can't enjoy our home. To know that someone over there is always watching us, to the point where they open their door to see us. I had begun to ask myself if someone was standing guard by the windows all day. We've had to modify our home since we moved in. We don't open the curtains on the backside of our home because we know they are always watching and trying to look into our home. Proof of that is when we are out back and their door opens up to watch us, every single time. As of yesterday, I came home and another mysterious relative was on the side of my home collecting sticks. Yes, sticks from the trees that we had removed. They came onto our property again. after we explicitly told them not to. I took a picture and called the police. By the time the police came, the man was gone, but the police didn't knock on my neighbor's door. They drove around to the front of their home and sat in front of it. I'm positive that they saw the police and were probably spooked that I followed through with my threat. And if you're curious, my neighbors have the same trees on their property. Why they chose to come to my property and take sticks, I don't know. We now know there are at least 20 people in the home. I'm sick of my neighbors. We are going to sell our home next spring because we are tired of it. You're ruining my body. I made it. It's mine. So this happened 2 years ago when I got my first tattoo. I was 21 and still living with my controlling mother. She was shocked when I told her I wanted to get a tattoo, but she didn't physically stop me. I got home with my upper arm tattooed, solar system with watercolors, to find her in the living room crying. She started talking about how I ruined her body by getting that tattoo, about how she made my body so it's hers. She asked if I cried while getting it. I told her I didn't because it didn't really hurt at all. She yelled at me, "Of course you cried. I cried because I knew what you were doing to my body." She calmed down after a while and even said my tattoo looked nice, but I felt really gross after all that. She also flipped out when I got my hair cut. My sisters and I were always told that she'd sue any hairstylist who dared to cut our hair, so it took me until I was 19 to finally get a short haircut. And she cried when I got my first piercing too. This woman is nuts sometimes. And that is all for today, friends. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you haven't already. Take care and I'll see you all next time.